Today's Mercedes-Benz interview of the day brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Luxury SUVs now come with the luxury of choice. Learn more about the E-Class SUVs at your local dealer or at mbusa.com/special offers. More phone calls coming up. Give us an update on poll questions and results there, Seton, if you can.
Yeah, of course. Right now we've got Mavs Timberwolves is ... over or interesting. Right now, 64% of the audience have that series as over.
Okay.
Over.
All right.
LeBron James is most involved in either getting J.J. Redick the Lakers gig or getting his son drafted. That's at 81%. He's more involved in getting his son drafted. Mm-hmm. And the better job in professional sports, head coach or GM. GM is absolutely destroying head coach.
All right. Fair enough. All right, my goal is to get Adam Lefkoe in trouble. He works NBA on TNT, Inside the NBA. He hosts on Tuesday night, co-host of the big podcast with Shaq, and Lefkoe joins us now. Okay, are there things we can't talk about with the NBA on TNT?
I've been prepped, you know.
Oh, really?
Well, because Todd was like, hey, love to have you come on and talk about the Western Conference Finals. And I was like, sure, Todd. I was like, I'm sure you want to break down how Derek Lively has 108 dunks and Kleba only has 6. And his impact on the glass is a huge difference. No, I think, look, I know how you work. Okay, we know how this goes. You got Charles out here. When Charles came on your show, I jokingly hit up a PR person and I said, those talking points you gave him were crazy. I can't believe you told him to say those things.
Yes, he went scorched earth there. And but you know what? Charles can't really get in trouble. You know, you're a dad of a newborn that's 6 months old, and I want you to keep that job at least for another year.
I thought about that. You know how people like to say that's above my pay grade?
Yeah.
Is it above? Is anything above Charles's pay grade?
No.
I don't think so.
No. Okay, what have you been told about the future of the NBA on TNT after this next season?
So, okay, I can, because I was sitting in the makeup chair yesterday getting ready for a show on True TV, and some of the higher up people were there, and they just said, listen, it's not over. We're still talking to them. You still have Zaslav talking to Adam Silver. They're still really, really trying. That's what I'm being told. I think that, very early on, I tried to remove a lot of my emotion from this. And part of it was I was talking to my agent and he said, I don't think people realize that if another network is going to do this, first of all, TNT Sports can match, but they need to get all of the paperwork done before there's a match. And that's when my brain went, oh, I don't think lawyers have ever rushed through paperwork and gotten rid of billable hours so that TNT can match really quick. And so that's what I thought has been funny this entire time, has been all of these reports where it's done, and then the new media cycle right now of there's a sources, and then that turns into an image of the inside guys with the text that says it's over, and there's no context and there's no reporting, and it just snowballs really quickly. That has been the part there. But in terms of the NBA on TNT next year, I'm being told that they're doing everything they can right now to make sure that happens.
And how do you kick Ernie Johnson to the curb? So then what's the game plan to do that?
You are really a peach, aren't you? One of the greatest joys of my life is sitting and watching Inside the NBA. And so I'm the sicko, because media people, Dan, as soon as they can leave, they go home. For me, like if I'm hosting a show at 7 and then Inside starts at 7:30, I sit on the set and watch with the makeup people and the production people. And then Shaq will be like, hey, Adam, who do you like in the game tonight? And then Shaq's like, where'd you get that hoodie? And then I go in the back and I order dinner and I watch with them. And then Ernie comes in and he goes, kid, what are you still doing here? And then I am like, yes, now I get my 6 minutes of Ernie time before he goes into his bunker and starts working. And so it's one of the greatest thrills of my life for him to be my colleague. I don't think that he's replaceable. I think that those four on Inside the NBA, the love that they have for each other, the camaraderie they have, the talent they have. I think I always hear Inside compared to College Game Day, and with all due respect to College Game Day, I think that the spectacle of game day is the circus, and the fact that each week you move to a new city, thousands of kids show up. What are the signs going to be? How do they pull it off? That's crazy. Inside is four dudes at a desk. Those two things, you need a circus to compete with these four men. And I think that I still learn from Ernie every day. My father and my grandfather are my personal heroes, but Ernie has been my professional mentor and someone that anytime that I either get too high or too low, I look at steady Ernie and I realize he's the guy. And so for me, look, I've had a lot of cool talks with him about the future and stuff like that, but to even think about that would make me sick.
He's Adam Lefkoe, NBA on TNT, Inside the NBA host on Tuesday. He's been part of the Western Conference Finals Altcast. That's on True TV and streaming on Max. Yeah, it's hard to replicate something. You're in a sterile environment, NBA, inside the NBA, whereas College Game Day, you have a lot of bells and whistles. And we probably remember the atmosphere more than what the analysts say, more on game day, than we do inside the NBA, because you guys do have props and, guys get hit with a pie or somebody falls down or the Christmas tree gets knocked down. But still, you're remembering the exchanges that they have. It'll live on. It'll live on maybe elsewhere. But hopefully, if I'm a TV executive, I'm just taking that show and then I plug it in, plug and play. Or as I said to Shaq, or I said to Charles, just do it yourself. I mean, you got a production company, just do it yourself.
I'm going to tell Chuck that you confused him for Shaq.
Ooh.
And I cannot wait for his reaction because that's just going to be peachy. I can't imagine the NBA without Inside the NBA. And I think that I've watched every other NBA show try to be Inside the NBA. I've seen them, let's laugh more, let's have a gimmick. And the thing that you need to realize is that none of it is planned.
But you bring up something, Lefkoe, you bring up something great. And I remember when I was at the mothership that all else fails laugh. And you see some of these shows where not everything's that funny. And when I watch Charles and Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, not everything's funny. And even the awkwardness of that's not funny, we're not going to force a laugh. I admire that because a lot of these pregame shows in the NFL, it's somebody says something and you go, ha, 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 ha. And you're like, who laughs like that in real life?
Over nothing.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones better have a good game or who knows? and you're sitting there and you're like, that was ridiculous. Because they're trying to make good TV. And they don't realize that good TV is being in the moment. I don't think I've said this to you before. Andrew Schultz is a comedian that's on the rise. He's incredible. He was so good during the Tom Brady roast. And I was at a friend's house and some of his close writer comedian friends were there. And when they found out that I did the NBA on TNT, one of them was like, do you realize that show is comedy perfected and they don't even realize it? And I said, how is Ernie comedy? Like, I would love to hear how Ernie's comedy. And he said that comedy is about breaking a line and breaking the rules. And Ernie is the rules. And so when Chuck goes, when Kenny goes, what'd you say about San Antonio women? And then Ernie goes, don't say it. Don't say it. When Chuck says it, oh, he said it. But when I watch these other shows, it's like, oh, say it again, do it again, be louder. And they don't realize that SNL is great because you have a crazy person and a straight man. And someone is not laughing, you know what I mean? And Ernie is undoubtedly knows about it. He calls himself the worst traffic cop ever. But he creates the boundaries that they break. And it's like, that's why the ages there are so great because Shaq gets to be 15 again because Ernie to him is still Grandpa Ernie. To me, I'm like, Shaq, you're double my age. Like you shouldn't be shaving your eyebrows and putting women's hair extensions on your forehead, but he gets to be a kid again. And that's why it's so sweet.
All right. A couple of things. All right. Seton, give Lefkoe poll questions here. let's start with Minnesota, Dallas, over
or interesting?
or interesting?
I think that I will be watching the injury reports, and if Derek Lively is out again, it is very interesting.
Okay.
Because I just thought the end of the game, him not being in the middle of the floor as either the lob threat or the guy they can pass to. The fact that Draymond Green had to tell Daniel Gafford, hey, when you get the ball, you can pass it back out. That's stuff that Lively has already figured out as a rookie. And so I thought it was interesting in the last game that Minnesota finally answered the call late. I don't know if they can replicate Karl Anthony Towns hitting those threes again. That seems kind of unlikely. But we're in Minnesota. And I think it's very interesting if you go to a game 6, a year after we had Boston come back from down 3-0.
All right. LeBron James poll question.
Yeah, is he most involved in getting J.J. Redick to the Lakers or getting his son drafted?
They are sure saying a lot that they're not involved in the coaching hire. They sure are. I think that I think LeBron knows if he tries to play with his son, there are still factions that will go, that's adorable. And when those pictures come out, people will go, who wouldn't want to play with their son? I think GM, the LeBron that I control, I think he's trying to really get away from that. We had Rich Paul on one of our altcasts, and he just came out and categorically denied that he's involved. Does the podcast continue if it's JJ Redick? Do they just start bringing like the podcast makes it so much funnier that they were sitting here and they're like drinking wine together, and then all of a sudden JJ's leading timeouts. I have talked to a number of former NBA players, whether it's like around the studios or out, and they all want JJ to get it. They're not rooting against him, but they want him to get a taste. And because everybody thinks they can be a coach. Like you guys were talking about, it's better job. I think that's the next one.
Yeah.
GM, by the way, 10 times better job. You draft a quarterback or you draft a new player and you get 3 years added. I've seen coaches, Lovie Smith, you get Jameis Winston, doesn't matter, you're gone the next year. But
do you think people want Redick to get humbled?
Yes, I think they do. Because I still think they look at JJ Redick as Duke JJ Redick.
Yeah.
I still think that that's there. And JJ has been someone, it's his tone that I think throws a lot of people off. He's so confident. He's so convincing. He immediately is like, you guys don't understand. Let me teach you basketball. And I think for the people that know basketball, even though he might not be talking to them, they're like, miss me with that. And so what a tough job to start off with. Oh my gosh. Good luck.
Yeah. But I've said this many times on the show. I mean, LeBron has manicured his career. Everything he does with purpose. He's in, there's strategy. Why would you at the end of your career all of a sudden not want to be involved with maybe the last 2 years of your career in who's going to be your head coach? I don't know if you can go, hey, whoever you hire. I can't believe that.
2 things. One, I thought it was very interesting on our altcast that unprompted, Rich Paul went, LeBron's a free agent. He has not declined his player option yet. And so that to me is very fascinating because LeBron loves to become a free agent when he says, I want this, this, and this to happen. That's usually how he gets control. Second thing I found interesting is that you're setting LeBron's career over under at 2.5 years. And I would probably take the over because when you're dropping 28, 7, and 7, I haven't seen the decline. And in this new age of we don't play back-to-backs, we don't play 4 games in 5 days, we no longer look down on sitting games. I kind of think he can keep extending this.
But he has to win. He can have all the stats in the world. This is all-time greatness. And if he's going to continue to play for a team that could be, the Pelicans, I mean, the Lakers and the Pelicans are probably very similar in talent and results. Is LeBron going to want to continue to be involved in something like that where you're not? The West is going to be stacked again next year. What makes you believe that the Lakers are all of a sudden going to go, you know what, we're the team to beat? or one of the teams
What's
to be.
more likely, LeBron under 2.5 years in the NBA or LeBron over over 1.5 teams he plays for the rest of his career? Like, you're talking about playing for a new team. You can't get any wins in retirement. You can win 0 championships in retirement. And if LeBron goes off into the sunset being like, I just don't see championships in my future, Jordan would never do that. Jordan, you know what? I respect the fact that Jordan went to Washington, at least tried. He at least tried to win with those guys.
Okay, does LeBron end his career as a Laker?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is completely conjecture. I think what you're saying, what I agree with you is, I look at the makeup of the Lakers and I go, I don't know if it's happening there. You know, we've seen this a few times. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's Cleveland. Come to Philly. Maxey, Embiid, and
Can
LeBron
we stop
right
with this? That all of a sudden Philadelphia is getting Jimmy Butler again, Paul George, LeBron. Like, we've done this before.
All of them?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because this is the make or break year. Look, I grew up a Sixers fan. This is the make or break year. We've been hearing about the year of cap space for 5 years. This will be the first season in which Tobias Harris, or I got this from the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, Tobias Harris or Jahlil Okafor are not on the roster in like a decade. So it's all free. The only contract there is like Embiid and when they re-sign Maxey. This is the time. This is why you brought in Morey 3 years ago. And if you don't land a Paul George, a LeBron, or a Jimmy Butler, and you're sitting there being like, we're going to bring back Kelly Oubre and a bunch of role players, that ain't going to cut it.
Well,
that's not going to cut it.
I would worry about Embiid looking around going, look, I went through everything. Yes, I was injured first couple of years, but, you know, the process, and I've been a constant. Maybe it's time for me to leave.
Sounds like him and LeBron have a lot in common. Maybe they should talk to each other. LeBron in Philly would actually be awful, and I would actually hate it, because Philly, if they ever started booing LeBron, that like first segment on SportsCenter would be crazy. Oh my goodness.
Do you think you got in trouble during this conversation?
Did you get in trouble for not getting me in trouble?
No, because I'm my boss.
Did Todd get in trouble? The funniest thing about getting booked on this show is that when Todd puts out the guests and the people on Twitter are like, one guest, way to work today, Todd, idiot.
Thanks for bringing that up.
I've never seen a booker like who's one of the best, if not the best bookers in the business. People are openly like, way to give effort today, bum. Nobody else gets that, Todd. We love you.
They don't, but then nobody takes more victory laps when they do get a couple of guests, like Todd does.
Does he?
Yes.
Does he ever pop champagne for himself? Got Costas!
Yeah. But there are times when I do say to Todd, I said, I booked this guy. And then he'll go, that's fair.
What would you say is Todd's best book? In the history of the show, like the one where it was like, I can't believe you got it.
All right. Seton, I'll ask you. You got one?
It's been so long.
Wow.
You guys are the worst.
Wow.
Hanging up on me here.
I'm just have to go back.
Jim Kelly in 1994.
Wait, you got Dan Bickley from the Arizona Republic.
We bumped Rich Eisen for
Kevin Moss, I remember.
Yeah.
Back
Who do you got, Paulie?
Lefkoe, do you remember a long time ago, like 07, 08, when they were talking about trading Kobe Bryant to the Bulls, and it was a big topic? Yeah. Fritzy got that week, at the end of the week, he got Kobe to call in and put the topic a little bit to bed, and that was a monster at the time.
Yeah,
it was at the time. Yeah. And the week before, he got Beckham in his first American radio interview.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
2007.
Yeah, that's 17 years ago.
Hell of a year, though.
Yeah, that was hell of a week, not a hell of a year.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Silver Oak, 2007.
Yeah. Oh, what a great vintage. All right. I
love you guys a lot.
Hey, thanks for joining us. And good luck. Good luck with your future.
Thanks. And, if I need to, it sounds like you guys might need a booker, and I know people.
If you would like to fill in on this show, we'd be more than happy to have you sit in here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have chills, and now I need to go run around the block because I'm juiced up.
Yeah. This way you could replace Ernie, and you can replace me.
All right, goodbye.
All right, thank you. And that's Adam. That's Adam Lefkoe, NBA on TNT, inside the NBA, part of the Western Conference Finals Altcast. That's on True TV and streaming on Max. We'll take a break. Back after this.